Well, I want to present to you kind of a pictorial of exactly what's going on with the economy and what the government's saying what's going on with the economy. Like we have the woman here on the right. You could see she's wearing a T-shirt and it's presenting a picture of, a hot body. And underneath it, you can see what's really going on. Well, that's kind of how the presentations from the government on the economy are reflecting their lies. That's what they're doing. I mean, if, in essence, that's exactly what they're doing. They're presenting an economy that's wonderful, and it's not. Actually, as I mentioned before, many times, even the GDP, the actual GDP of our economies consists of stuff that is just worthless garbage. For instance, well, it could be. I mean, like for instance, daycare centers, right? Daycare centers are bringing in more revenue than colleges, universities, and then it's like okay, the woman is now in the workforce, but the woman now can't freaking stay home and watch kids. So therefore, we have a daycare center that increases the GDP. Hmm. But before, she wouldn't be in the workforce, creating some other wealth another way, and then having to spend that wealth on the daycare center. Guess what? The GDP numbers would look bad. Today we have family counseling and things like that, and before it was done basically for free by, say, the local church or your neighbors, right? Now it's big business. It's big business in New Jersey. Now, I just want to point out something because also, you know, I made some bad predictions, maybe. Yeah, I know, because I'm really optimistic about silver. Okay, I am. I'm too bullish on the damn thing. Okay, but I don't really try to pump it where. Yeah, I did mock the people that were saying $500 silver when it went to like 40 something. They were saying, no, it's going to go to 500, it's going to go thousands, and yeah, whatever. Yeah, if the total United States collapsed to nothing, yeah, maybe, possibly, whatever. But the other thing is, there's been predictions this year in 2016 that the U.S. dollar was going to collapse in February 2016. It was going to collapse in March 2016. May. Now we're still in May. And they also predicted that silver was definitely going to be $50 an ounce, and they're predicting that this year that it would be $50 an ounce by June 2016 and $100 an ounce by the end of the year. I think that silver's actually going to be in doldrums for this summer. It might start taking off in September, maybe. I also predict that, you know what, I'm gonna give you a little something conjecture here or something. I know, first off, the major media is talking about the bond market ready to implode. It's a repetition of the 1990s. This is not the conspiracy media that's keeping you on edge, always telling you the end is near. No, it's the major media is even talking about this, an implosion in the bond market. Um, Also, they've been talking a lot about the stock. I don't even understand how the stock market's staying up, man. It really don't make sense because the PE ratios are incredibly screwed up, and price earnings ratios. In other words, even the major media has been saying this for more than a year that the stock market's not going to go anywhere for 10 years, really, in real, wealth. In other words, if the stocks go up, it's probably going to be because of inflation. You're not going to really get too much out of it. The bubble's already blown up, and the stock market right now is in a bubble. I personally think that what's going to happen is that Trump looks like he's guaranteed to be the Republican nominee. Hillary Clinton might be the Democratic nominee, but you know what I think? When Trump is like solidly locked in for the Republican nominee, they're going to crash the markets dead, maybe, and say it's Trump doing it because it's a forebringer of how things could be so bad or whatever. You know what I mean? It's every damn excuse in a book, right? Because quite obviously, even the Republican establishment is against this guy. I don't think this guy's perfect, but it's like I think they're going to do everything in their damn power to freaking discredit him before he even gets in office. I know they've been doing that, but I think they're going to do it through the economy too. I think I really have to guess at this. I'm going to tell you this for honestly, but I do know that there is more web bot trading going on throughout the markets than there is actual real traders. And even today, for the first time, the top 6 out of 10 hedge funds that perform the best, out of the top 10 hedge funds that perform the best, 6 of them were using computer-like programs to predict which way things were going to go. No longer like it was at the male alpha male that was, boldly, taking risk. No, they're actually looking for more for computer programmers to predict the markets than, what a person would do to analyze the markets and take risk. I I think the markets are actually total computerized fluff. And considering these guys don't like Trump, they're going to probably crash the damn economy or the markets per se. Maybe not the economy per se, but the economy on paper. Try to make him look bad before he even gets in office. Don't elect this guy. There's a fear in the markets. The economy's going to get worse if he gets elected. They're doing that shit. It's like electronic shit versus real. The real is a kickstart motorcycle, a real motorcycle that you can don't need a freaking battery too much. You got a magneto or something, you kickstart it. Old school, man. I'm really been an advocate of this old school stuff all along. Something else I want to tell you too. I put out before about Deagle.com. It's DEAGLE.com. And just search for USA Population Predictions 2015. I'll provide a link on the bottom maybe, but it's easy to find. Deagle.com. I don't have nothing to do with it. I'm not getting a penny to direct you there or nothing. But they predict the U.S. population. It's a responsible military site that projects population, purchasing power parity, GDP output, military expenditures. They make predictions what they're going to be on all the countries in the world 10 years from now. In the United States, they predict the United States population. They're serious about this, and this is without a war. They're saying the U.S. population is going to be reduced by 80%, military expenditures are going to be reduced by 90%, and GDP is going to be reduced by 90%. And that's without a war. They're saying a lot of it's due to government collapse, a default, and also disease. Now, something else I just picked up here on a major media article, not a conspiracy thing. The World Health Organization, WHO, has just issued chilling warnings about a bunch of new diseases that are coming out that they can't fight. But you know what the deal is. All these new designer diseases are produced in Rockefeller Foundation labs and stuff. It's a bunch of bullshit. They're freaking trying to kill everybody off, man. That's been a major elitist goal for a long time. See, today, the entire Earth's population is sort of like the American Native Indian was back 100-something years ago, 150 years ago. Back before, they were given smallpox-infected blankets, selling smallpox-infected blankets to the Native American Indians, giving them booze, killing off all the buffalo, killing their horses. I know the Native American Indians weren't always a bunch of saints, man. They fought their ass off, especially like the Comanches. But let me put it this way. Right now, we all live on the damn plant. We all live on a plantation. We all live on a reservation. They're steamrolling us, man. So sometimes, the girl over here is saying, the guy's saying over here to the girl, you're the saddest looking slut I've ever seen. Well, she's sad for a reason, because the outlook looks pretty freaking damn dim. I don't want to not have a positive attitude, but I got to be a realist on this shit, because I can see what's coming up. It's unfortunate that most people in our government and our law enforcement and our FBI and our CIA, God, are kind of like all part of this bullshit in some ways, because they only follow exactly what they're told to do. If the law is screwed up, they got to enforce the law. For instance, heroin and marijuana are considered equally as bad a drug in the eyes of the Drug Enforcement Agency. So, I'm going off on a tangent here a little bit, but the reason I'm telling you this is because the real problem that we're facing, in the future, is this draconian, overstretched, oversized government, and this is why probably we're going to have a total societal collapse and governmental collapse and structural collapse of every damn thing in the future, not due to like just being a doom and gloom fear porn monger here, but that's going to go along with the collapse of the dollar, and it's going to go along with, whatever's real counts. And what's left that's real, that always function as the poor man's money, or let's say not the poor man's money, the everyday man's money. It's been silver. It's been silver. That's one reason you want to keep it, and you want to defend it too. Actually, I'm showing here is a little house. This might be an idea to actually do for some of the people that are looking to escape from, say, an area that's crowded with a lot of people. Some of these people are pretty smart. Some of the Americans are getting pretty smart, and they're actually going full independent and building with permits their own structures. They have to show some kind of. In some places, in some counties, you don't really have to show too much of an engineering plan, or you can just buy the plans. And as long as there's no restriction on how much the square footage has to be, you can build on your own. Build on your own, and this might be one of the things to do, because the lower cost you have in a house, first off, you have less loans or maybe no loans, and the other thing is it's taxed at a lower rate. And that's one thing you want to do, is keep those taxes low, because in the future, the government is always going to be looking to freaking keep itself perpetuated by finding other ways of sources of revenue, and it's going to be through various regulatory fees and taxation or any other thing. So like a lot of times it's best to keep a very low profile. Don't spend to try to show your money, show off, because then you're setting yourself up as a target, not only for the government, but for opportunistic type people. I just want to mention that too. In the markets themselves, actually, over the last year or so, there's been about $2 trillion worth of stocks that have been dumped by the American people so far. So, I really wonder how the hell the markets are being held up. I think they're being held up electronically. We also know that the metals prices are being held down electronically. Since the year 2000, there's been ongoing lawsuits against commodities, the way the commodities have been traded, even coming from the former head of the NYMEX, the New York Mercantile Exchange. It's particularly on oil, but also all the metals. It's a rigged system. Thing is, when the system breaks, what's real is only going to count, and all this electronic crap is going to go out the window. That's what my main prediction is. But as far as the people that are predicting, astronomical high prices of silver in a walk in a park, I think that's ludicrous. It's beyond stupid. The other thing I mentioned, I always mention this in a lot of videos, I think the mini ice age that's coming up is going to drastically affect our economy and affect our lifestyle, and also affect the price of energy. And when it affects the price of energy, that's also going to affect the price of metals, because energy, fuel oil, is 50% of the operating cost of mining metals. So in other words, once you have the initial capitalization, you have everything rolling along, you have all the infrastructure, the land, the mining equipment, and everything's all there. Once you're just going to bare bones operating costs, 50% is fuel. If fuel goes way the hell up due to high demands for heating oil, due to like a mini ice age, metals will go up too. And also that will put pressure on the food prices too, because of the shorter growing season, which all works together. As a matter of fact, when you were talking about silver going up, when silver goes really high, pretty much all the commodities go real high. All of them across the board. Even back in 1979, when silver did hit almost $50, guess what? Gold hit record highs. Also, platinum and palladium also hit record highs. They pretty much all run together generally as a rule. I think palladium is actually going to do very well. I think palladium is actually going to be around the price of gold eventually, and hopefully I would like to see that happen, because if that was the case, I'd trade it for some land. But in the meantime, we're kind of like traveling down the road here, waiting forever. I did see something though recently, and about silver that, well, I guess it was not that recently, but it was about the silver to gold ratio. It's actually hit resistance point at an extremely high ratio. And if you extrapolate what happened in the past, it will take a few years before it gets down to maybe 20 something to 1 or 20 to 1. But say silver even got to, I don't know, 25 to 1, and gold went to only $2,000 an ounce, right? Well, if gold, and you know, that's not really a ludicrous prediction. I mean, we've been at 19 something, well over well, I think it was 1960 something. We hit a high. I'm not sure exactly from memory, but to go to $2,000 an ounce, that seems like not that crazy. And to get back down to a silver to gold ratio of 25 to 1, it doesn't seem it doesn't seem like out of the realm of where that could possibly happen, right? Um, well, that would easily put silver at 50 eventually, but I do think silver is really going to go beyond 50 because once it breaks through 50, um, it should go significantly higher to 50, maybe 60 to 75. Now, once it breaks through 50, there's going to be a million predictions out there that's going to go to 500 or 1,000. I'm not buying that shit. It might, but if that happens, there's not going to be any USA, period. It's going to be gone. But then again, if the Deagle.com predictions are correct about the population going to 64.9 million from 313.9 million, I can't believe that. But you know what? They're not a conspiracy site. They're a responsible military site that does projections on various on all the countries in the world on various aspects of those countries, from the GDP, the purchasing power parity, the military expenditures, and the future populations. Western Europe population is going to go down, even the Russian population, but mainly Western Europe and Japan is going to go down, but the United States is supposedly going to get hit the hardest. I'm showing the coin here, Liberty and God We Trust with the Marine Corps, but you know what? I don't want to emphasize the Marine Corps too much because I want to tell you one thing. The Marine Corps is actually was composed of volunteers. The Marine Corps' reputation actually came about mainly from first termers that came in for maybe 2 or 3 years and fought for a little while. They weren't from the lifers, the careerists, and all that other garbage. But I'm bringing this up because sometimes people think that the nation will. Well, the nation might be somewhat saved by the military because there's a lot of patriotic people in the military. But the thing is, you as an individual, you are going to be the one that's going to save the nation. This, and I hate to almost put it out this way, but we're actually coming up to extremely tough times. But the United States has been through really tough times before. Before the Great Depression, I could tell you that in 1861, when they had the tax rebellion of 1861, I'll call it that, versus the Civil War, the outcome of that was far more worse than anything we've experienced in the 20th century. So whatever's coming up may not be anywhere as bad as what happened with the tax rebellion of 1861 and its aftermath. So I don't want to paint this doom and gloom picture, but thing is, you should have your things in line and your readiness in line for when a contingency happens. It's sort of like anything, you just don't drive down the road without having a spare tire in your car. You just don't ride your motorcycle without a helmet like these girls are doing here, or no boots. They're wearing shoes and they don't have a helmet and they don't have gloves on, and they're looking cool and they're smoking a cigarette, but they got a windshield. But anyway, they got some kind of safety feature. But you know the deal. You got to be prepared. It's like you don't want to be dwelling upon it all the time, but you got to be prepared. That's partly the reason why you have physical silver. But some of the predictions out there, I've been totally freaking had it over the. I've been over the top with this freaking. I've had it beyond description with these people that have been making these ludicrous predictions of $400 silver, $500 silver, 1,000, 2,000. Yeah, maybe that'll happen, But if that's the case, the currency is going to be toilet paper. You know, that's what's going to happen. In that case, I mean, I don't know. You know, if silver's worth $1,000, what's a loaf of bread? $80. You know, what is it? What, you know what I mean, right? If that's what happens, right? That's what happens. Yeah, it could happen. I don't know. Maybe, maybe. I know I got some heat from somebody on here about I was talking about the mini ice age, and the guy was from Chicago, and I'm like saying, dude, you know what? You're gonna find out anyway because it is all related to this. Actually, one of the main things that's going to crash the entire economy of the United States is the weather. The global climate change, not caused by mankind, but through the diminishing output of the sun. It's an aspect that nobody's looking at because it's going to drastically increase the price of food. And people ain't going to have the money to pay for it. And on top of it, the government's going to probably default and not have those subsistence checks to those people that are dependent upon them just to survive and eat. Then on top of it, the food's going to be that much more money due to global cooling. Well, again, all the commodities basically not exactly one to one because I know sometimes oil goes up real high and then silver doesn't, and then sometimes the other way around. But typically, like say for instance, if oil goes in an extreme bull run, like it goes really, really high, then you're going to see silver and gold. Well, gold pretty much follows oil. Not too bad. Not too bad. But if oil goes in an extreme bull run, really high, silver is going to go really high. Actually, I think oil is going to go to $200 a barrel. Nah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Nobody wants to believe that shit, but I think it will. I don't think it's going to stay there. I think it's called super spike. It's going to go there temporarily. At which time, your metals are going to be astronomically high. And everybody's going to be saying, hold forever, because it's going to the moon. Well, it ain't going to reach the moon. It's going to go high. Problem is, I'm not going to guess it right either, because you got to be lucky to guess the exact top. I can tell you that right now. But let me say this. If you make a lot of money on it, good. That's all you need to do. And as long as you do, you're wise with your next investment class, you're fine. Might be cool to invest in an old motorcycle, in a teepee, and a bunch of land, because a teepee isn't taxed. Ha, 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 ha. Right? It's a temporary structure. But you know what? It seems like the Comanche had no problem living in them. You know what I mean? You can get on your Harley, get your six-shooter and your lever action, and you can pack up your teepee and drag it on a trailer behind you and go on a hunt for more buffalo for food, right? Yeah, anyway, that would be the new school way of doing things. But, hey, how could they tax you on that shit? It's a teepee. Anyway, do you know what they would do? They say the certificate of occupancy is no good because you have a teepee, and this is not a approved building structure. Well, fuck the white man's rules. You know what I mean? I'm just playing language. I'm getting sick of this shit. I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but that's just my style. You know, if you don't like it, some people don't like it. Some people like it. Some people don't. Whatever. But anyway, just want to repeat again that the bond market is being shown to be near the edge of implosion per the major media, which tells you it's not a conspiracy theory. It's like everything's in place like it was during the 1990s. I don't know what the hell's holding up the stock market. Probably just web bots and computer algorithms trading with each other, because the GDP, not the GDP, the PMI, the primary manufacturing index, was the worst it was since, like, I don't think 7 or 8 years ago for the first quarter of 2016. The first quarter of 2016 was also horrible on all the other numbers. The retail numbers, even at the end of the year in 2015, were horrible for the Christmas season. I don't know. Doom and gloom. I'm not trying to give you doom and gloom, but I wish I could tell you something good. Go buy a teepee. You know, maybe there's some. You know what? I wish these guys I really, I'm getting really hot on with these American Indian guys. You know, these freaking Native American guys that got screwed over by the white man. They need to get some business with synthetic TPs with fiberglass poles and selling to us white man people because we might need them here in the future the way the shit's going with the economy. And we can give them some money and help them out because they need some more money on the reservation. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. So, anyway, that would be the good thing because we could do some real good trade with them guys. Anyway, more power to the Redskins. You know, that's what I'm looking at it because I feel bad about those guys. But you know what? Today, we're all a bunch of Redskins. You know why? Because the elite got us by the balls. Everything we do is owned, is tracked electronically. We're pretty much owned, labeled. We got numbers on us. We got a social security number. We got a PIN number. We got a special phone number attached with our address, and we're globally attracted through Google. I don't know, whatever the hell that is on your phone, cell phone. You know what I mean? In a way, I kind of hope shit blows up. That'd be pretty nice. So anyway, that's my update. Sorry, man. I mean, I don't know what the hell to tell you, man. What do I do? Tell you freaking silver's going to go to $80 by the end of the year? I'd be lying if I was telling you that. I think it's going to start taking off, though, in September. Because you know why? That's typical when it does start taking off. Usually not in the summer. It's usually lousy for the metals. But, you know, and who the hell knows if something happens with Iran. I've been thinking this for a million years. If it ever does, that's all you need. Big war between Iran and Saudi. Saudi's been burning through their reserves left and right. That's really the other time when you're going to see silver go way up. And that's why I think that oil will go to $200 a barrel, because I think eventually there's going to be a major war between Saudi and Iran. And when that happens, goodbye oil supply. And you know what? They ain't going to be able to turn it back on here in the United States quick enough. But like I said, it's a spike, not a permanent thing. You know, a spike. It could spike a lot higher than you think, and that's when your silver's going to spike really high. So anyway, keep the faith on this stuff. Keep holding, and if you want to accumulate, fine. But you know what? You might want to accumulate canned food too, because that's going to be worth a lot more money in the future, and it'll cost you a lot more money in the future. And because of what I've been talking about before, the mini ice age, some people don't want to hear that on the silver update, but it is all related, because all these commodities kind of run together. Oil affects food prices. Oil affects silver prices and gold prices in all commodities. It affects the mining industry, because the mining industry is about, on a bare bones operating cost, it's about 50% energy, which is diesel fuel. So, I mean, you know, and you got to look for things out of left field. Out of left field is this global mini ice age coming up. So that's going to be another thing that's actually going to cause silver to go way up indirectly. One thing leads to another. It's like the domino effect. That's just how it is. So, but that's not a prediction that's going to play out in a week. But it will play out before 2020. Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Oh, forget it. I mean, you know, silver can actually go to a couple $100 an ounce for all I know. I mean, gold can be $3,000. The ratio of silver to gold can be 20 to 1. That would put silver at 150. I mean, I don't even think that's out of the realm at all. But gold could be a lot higher than that, and the ratio to gold to silver could be 15 to 1. You know, gold could maybe go to, I don't know, $450 an ounce and 15 to 1, and silver's $300. Right? Is that right? Something like that. Anyway, but you know what I mean. It's not that. But you know, it's going to be a spike. It's going to be hard to catch the exact top. But you know, keep an eye out for your next move. That's the main thing.